Okay. Do I have to introduce you?
Alright.
Yes. I'm here with Griffin Sullivan talking about the future landscape of the NFL.
How you doing?
Judging by or with the current landscape of the NFL, what would you like to see changed, or I guess why wouldn't you like to see any change?
I don't think there should be any change. Honestly, if there were any change, I would say kind of like cut down on like the penalties because, I mean, football's a contact sport, and I know they're trying to keep the game safe, but I think the tradition of the sport is just like, you play hard, you're physical, and like, I mean, I know they want to keep players safe, and I understand that concept, but I mean, I think, especially this past year, some of the calls they've been making on players for, you know, contact plays, especially on defensive backs, is kind of ridiculous. And I think that they should kind of just like lean away from all the penalties and kind of just like keep it fair. Because I mean, it makes it hard for defensive backs to cover these guys, especially when they're not allowed to use their physicality and size. I think that's just one thing I would change. But other than that, I really love the way the game's played, and I love everything about it.
All right. So three teams are changing uniforms this offseason in the NFL. What are your thoughts on uniform changes in the NFL? Like, why? Does it benefit teams, or should it be happening as often because you can only do it every 5 years? So.
I don't know if it should happen as often because I do like the traditional style jerseys, but I think teams might change, their jersey colors as like kind of like a new style. Try to get fans in the door. Try to be like, hey, like, this is our new style jersey. Try to get purchases online, people to buy these jerseys, and I think it's kind of like a way to get a new start for a team. We have a new uniform. Maybe it's a new year for us, kind of like Jacksonville kind of had in recent years.
Yeah. All right. And with other leagues right now expanding to 32 teams from 30 teams, and the NFL already sitting at that point, what do you think the NFL does in terms of expansion in the next 15 to 20 years?
Personally, I wouldn't mind seeing a couple teams come up, but like the only difference is they'd have to change, maybe some playoff formatting or they might have to change divisions around. They'd have to set away straight away the conferences. Right now, I think they're at a good point because I feel like the system is set up really well for the NFL. Obviously, I'd like to see you watch the NBA, the MLB, the NHL. They have series for playoffs out of a certain many games, 7 or 5 or 7, depending on what you're talking about. And I think that'd be cool for the NFL, but I think also as a fan, it'd be awesome to watch. But I know that player safety would be a concern at that point with the game. So, I mean, I guess they could stick with it now, what they have for teams, and try to expand and see, maybe if there are places that could generate more money for the league, they could expand there and see what happens.
All right. Okay, so kind of along those lines, the NFL has been talking about removing two preseason games and adding them somewhat onto the beginning of the regular season, creating an 18 game schedule. What are your thoughts on that?
I would personally love it because I love football Sunday. I mean, it's one of my things. I literally sit in bed and I watch football all day long. Like, it's awesome. And I think having 2 extra weeks of that would be pretty great. And I just love to see, I just love watching the sport. I think 2 extra weeks would be awesome. Again, player safety might be a concern. There are a lot of players. I know Richard Sherman has complained in the past about, playing a Monday night football game and then having to play that, Thursday or Sunday, depending on your schedule.
Yep.
And that does affect players, and it does, that is a huge concern. So 18 games, again, gonna have to get, a lot of coaches and owners and players' opinions, but as a fan, I think it would be awesome.
All right, sweet, thanks.